Hey there, Cynically Awesome viewers. Today I'm going to play Mythos Tales. And getting kind of weird there because I actually have a green screen behind me so that you can kind of see me playing this game and my reactions to it. So what is Mythos Tales? It's a choose your own adventure kind of like game with deductive reasoning, and it's basically Sherlock Holmes consulting detective a la Lovecraft. But I actually think this is a better designed game than Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective and doesn't have typos out the wazoo confusing you on how to play the game. There's a time tracker here that kind of constrains how you go about playing the game. You've got a directory just like in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective with all these different things of interest that you might want to look up. These condition cards kind of prevent you from getting into the trap of discovering things before you're supposed to know about them. And then there's lovely newspapers. A general help and places of interest that are actually useful, unlike the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective variants. And of course, our big and lovely map of Arkham. Ooh, look at that. That's upside down. There you go. So, I've already played the first mission here in the book. So instead of kind of going through that same one, we are going to do the second one. Now, before I begin, if this is something that interests you, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective Lovecraft Edition, get it. Stop watching this, get it yourself, experience it for yourself, and then afterwards come back and check this out. If you're still not convinced, alright, check out this video. I'm going to do the second investigation here, Flesh and Blood. Then check it out for yourself. And then if you don't care, then hey, listen to me while I read this off. Flesh and Blood. Investigation 2, August 8th, 1929. In Investigation 2, Flesh and Blood, players are introduced to the requirement rule. It is recommended that players read through this section before playing. The requirement rule, blah blah blah. It basically tells you if you go to a location like the hospital or whatever, and you don't have information which would have been presented via this, then you can't read on to the next section. And the way that it prevents you from doing that is, I believe the section is like off in the back of the actual investigation, so you can't accidentally read something that you're not supposed to know. Better design game. Investigation complexity. Okay. Armitage tells you, I believe this should be a rather straightforward investigation. However, guard yourself well. We are dealing with an aggressive foe. I estimate that I can solve this case by visiting between 7 and 11 locations. Keep in mind, this is just an estimation based on what is presented in the introduction. Take my estimate for what it's worth. There may be surprises along the way that even I cannot foresee. I'm going to give you plenty of time to find the perpetrator. Don't rush in haphazardly trying to solve this too quickly. However, let's wrap this up by day 5 evening. I'm gonna just set all my stuff here to the side that I don't immediately need. My directory, I need this. Day 5 evening, you say. So there are these little token trackers. Wow. That kind of keep me grounded on my time limit here. Everything else can be set off to the side. Cool. Alright, so just like in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, you're trying to beat Armitage. You know, Armitage is apparently this super amazing mythos detective and can solve basically any crime like it's elementary. So we're trying to show him up because we are some sort of pupil of his. Flesh and Blood, Investigation 2, Arkham, Massachusetts, August 8th, 1929. On a wet August morning, you step into the office of Professor Henry Armitage in Miskatonic University's renowned Orne Library. You're surprised to find no one waiting for you. It was only this morning that you received his call. You've never known him to be late or miss an appointment. You spend a few minutes watering Armitage's violets. Forgive my late arrival. Armitage's voice rings out from the hallway. Please don't think I take your assistance for granted. It's been an eventful morning. His arrival doesn't assuage your anxiety. Late and apologetic? Something's amiss. He hands you today's copy of the Arkham Advertiser. You catch the headline. Night Watchman found dead at Miskatonic. The old man wipes the dirt and leaves from his shoes. 3 years ago, there was an attempt to steal a very dangerous book from the restricted section of the library. The theft was prevented, but it was clear that more security was required. You think whoever killed this watchman stole his book? You ask. Before we get to that, there are several details about the murder the paper leaves out. Unpleasant details. Armitage closes the office door. The corpse was left in a rather grisly state. The attacker removed the victim's skin and his blood. Your anxiety grows into icy dread. That's insane. It made perfect sense for someone last night. Armitage shakes his head. This morning I informed the mother and father that someone left their son a mutilated corpse, and he had not worked here long. You know, I have witnessed so many unspeakably horrific things, but that... Armitage struggles for the words. You reach over and place a comforting hand on Armitage's shoulder. He takes a moment to compose himself. There's something else you need to see. Make sure your shoes are clean and follow me. Wait, why do they have to be clean? You wipe the mud from your shoes and accompany the old man down the hall to the restricted section of the library. As you do, you see a distinct trail of dried earth running along the floor. Was this from our keller? Indeed. Armitage stops at the door, bearing the sign that reads restricted, no entry. The trail of mud goes no further. When I arrived this morning, the watchman's keys were in the lock and this door was open. The watchman's keys, however, will only open the outer door to the restricted area. Armitage unlocks the outer door and switches on the lights to illuminate the overstuffed shelves in the windowless room. A second door within the restricted section provides further protection for the Necronomicon. Armitage glances in its direction, and oddly the Necronomicon is in a foul mood today. One would think it would be excited. The trail of mud does not cross the threshold of the room. Yes, one would think, you mutter. You're not sure if Armitage is serious when he speaks of the Necronomicon's moods, but you have grown accustomed to this odd manner of expression. You glance quizzically around the room. He unlocked the door, but didn't come inside? It's very telling. Armitage points to the inside of the door jamb, where there are a series of occult protection symbols etched into the wood. As I said, more security was required. The fact that the intruder couldn't pass this door with those protection symbols suggests that it was something other than human. Whatever it is, I believe it will grow more desperate as a result of this failure. Armitage closes the door and locks it. As the two of you walk to the library exit, he says, "We must find out what this creature is, what its motivations and intentions are, and most importantly, how to stop it." Inspector Garrison and his men have collected the evidence from the crime scene and turned it over to Dr. Corbett. Sorry, it's getting into in between the pages. You may have uncovered something, and as much as I hate to admit it, there is someone else who might have knowledge on this creature. I won't mention the scoundrel's name. The occult expert. You have proven yourself to be quite resourceful. You will figure it out, but be careful. We shall work independently. Time is not on our side. Armitage holds the front door open for you, letting a hard wind into the library. So here we have open grounds to explore anywhere. And unlike in Consulting Detective Sherlock Holmes, you can't go anywhere. in Sherlock Holmes, you could go anywhere, and you could go to ice cream parlor, and it'd be like, here's the ice cream parlor. One sentence, that's it, you're done, and that's just a waste of your time. In this game, if you go somewhere that's completely pointless, it won't have an entry in the book. So waste less of your time. But I think we should head over to Dr. Corbett. Or actually, let me check out that newspaper. Each of these newspapers are double-sided and will coincide with the date of the murder. There we go. Sunday, nope. August 8th. The Arkham Advertiser. Now, there's a lot of information here. Most of it is useless. But let's see if there's anything about that issue in particular. Let's look at these. International news. Stimson ship in gale. 6 dead. 100 stricken by Rimian typhus. To the editor, dear sirs. Businessman slumped in French Hill. Woman arrested. Saucer-shaped flying machine built. Night watchman found dead at Miskatonic. A night watchman was discovered dead last night in a grisly state at Owen Library. Oh, when it said Miskatonic, I thought it meant the river. Okay. The murder has some citizens of Arkham in an uproar over the contents locked away in the restricted rooms inside Owen Library. One such book, the Necronomicon, is believed by many to be cursed. So people just know about the Necronomicon. That's not a good thing. Even the mayor is expressing concerns about the contents of Owen Library. My heart goes out to the family and the friends of the victim. We don't know what prompted this attack, but I'm concerned the contents of the library makes it a target for malicious deeds. The mayor was quoted as saying when reached out for comment. Detective Garrison stated it could be a feud the guard had with someone else. We are looking into every possible lead. And that's all that she wrote. Einstein extends a relativity theory. Home wanted, men wanted. Local matron is honored by Baptist Society. Maple soap. Manly Theater announcement. Manly Theater is pleased to present The King Cometh. Congrats to Miss P. Larry for winning 2 tickets. The first performance will be held on August 18th. We would love for the citizens of Arkham to attend this exciting play. Tickets will be available at the door. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so yeah, that's a whole lot of nothing. Newspaper does not help. Okay, but he said Dr. Corbett. And Dr. Corbett can be found. Herbert Corbett is our local criminologist. As long as he has evidence to examine, his forensics expertise is unmatched. D45. Oh, and the person that the occult expert is... Who is that? Can't remember his name. It's a dude Armitage does not like. Can't find his name. But the other people that we can look at here, and these are almost all good people to look at in every adventure. You can go to Armitage's office, and he usually gives you hints. Dr. Vincent Sutton is a trauma surgeon and chief pathologist at St. Mary's Teaching Hospital. Professor Leon Robinson is a great source of information on Almanaco's historical. He's an expert on the oral history of the Miskatonic Valley and is well versed in folklore. Emilia Sargent, librarian, Orne Library. William Coffin is a shady fellow, but in some of your investigations, he might take you to some unsavory places he will know something about. He's at Fleetwood Diner. Nicholas Stoutenstall is one of your most overworked civil servants in the public service. He's a keeper of various legal documents, birth certificates, marriage, death. Police station, you can meet Morris Garrison. Herbert Corbett, this is where I'm going, D45. Let me just get that real quick. D45, okay. Friendly and verbose. Arlo Hoppin is a dispatcher and cabbie for the Arkham Yellow Cab Company. Dorothy Davis with the Arkham Historical Society. Here we go. For all things occult, when you can't find good information at the library, Pascal Fenton is Arkham's resident occultist and spiritualist. Sebastian Lemon is a member of the Order of the Silver Twilight, but he is also a mole. He is a member of the cult in name only and works secretly for Armitage, providing information on the Order and its mysterious leader, Carl Sanford. The Arkham Advertiser has its finger on the pulse of the town. Donnie Clark is your star reporter. Ambrose Checkley is a person to see. He's a notorious gossip hound and high society mogul, and is eager to share any tawdry stories he comes across. Two other notable locations: Arkham Sanatorium, Arkham Asylum, aka, and a speakeasy might be a valuable place to go. And then, yeah, you can always check his office. Okay, so D45. Dr. Corbett is hunched over several photographs with his back to the door, and yet he uncannily knows that it's you entering his lab. What fascination about this case is the evidence which we don't... Whoa, hold up. What's fascinating about this case is the evidence we don't have. And I don't just mean the corpse's skin and blood. Corbett turns around to look at you. If I were going to steal someone's skin, I'd bring a car if I had one. Wouldn't you? I mean, where did it all go? That's the real mystery here. Skin is heavy and messy. We had rain and we had mud. It's the perfect setup to see tire tracks, but there's nothing. He points to a series of photographs outside of the library. You shrug. So he walked? He flew? I don't know, but I know he didn't drive. Now, I'm not one to tell you how to do your job, but it occurs to me that it's likely your killer doesn't have a car, and if that's true, I bet he's been in a taxi in the last few days. Unless he flew, you add. Okay, so yeah, then we can go see the cab company, yeah? I mean, that's the obvious kind of jump around. But let me think. What? The previous scenario had little bits and pieces here and there of what is it, like it pointed to other eldritch gods being at work. I'm not gonna say which ones. So I'm just trying to think, like, what Lovecraftian things does this apply to? And I mean, yeah, Wilbur Watley was obviously the dude who wanted the Necronomicon, but anybody could want the Necronomicon if they knew about it. Something that's not human, but might be human? Like a goat spawn? But no. Nah, that don't work. So that didn't really help. I guess we then go to the cab company. And I'm keeping track here. You have morning, afternoon, and evening for each day. So each time you go to a location, that counts as one of those things. And I'm also just gonna write down here in my notebook that I went to D45. Okay. Oh, look, and the cab company is D34. Let's see what we got. D34. Arlo shouts to you from across the garage. What's the rumpus, Seamus? Wow, Seamus? His cheeriness seems immune to the drab weather and macabre headlines of the day. You cross the distance to meet him. Your cabbies have any strange fares lately? Every single day. Actually, my boys have been pretty happy lately. A lot of well-to-do types coming and going. Sebastian Lehman and his crowd, if you know what I mean. Silver Twilight. What are they up to? I couldn't tell you that, but I know they tip well. Something's got them in a whirl. Hey, if you aren't busy, why don't you help old Arlo shine his tires? Alright, so that doesn't help too much, but you know what? Should have just talked to the Silver Twilight to begin with, maybe, eh? That was 34 for the cab company, and so the Silver Twilight dude is L18. And that will be the first day. L1, 2, 3, 4, 18. Stepping into Sebastian Lemon's living room, you seem to have interrupted a conversation between Lemon and two sinister-looking men seated across from him. He waits for you to join him by the fireplace. I don't have much time to speak to you, I'm afraid, but I have an answer to your question. He points to the portrait of a dour-faced old man that hangs above the mantel. You were wondering about the identity of this man. You've never given the portrait any thought, and certainly never have asked Sebastian about it, but you play along. I was? He was a Scotsman from the clan McNaught, of course. Naught has turned to night these days. Lemon smiles inscrutably. Ah, you say. He obviously can't talk directly. I'm afraid I must return to my current business. You should find me later. Lemon winks. We can speak again back at French Hill. And remember to bring that 64. Chateau Lafitte, Rothschild. Been promising me. Got it? The 64. You nod, but you are not sure his meaning. Lemon must want to meet you in a more private place. What? French Hill. Is there a French Hill? There's an F. Ugh, am I gonna have to like find... Well, maybe it's F64, yeah? I'm not gonna check that just yet, but in here in the Massachusetts directory, what do I got here? F64? French Hill? French? Is there an F? A, B, C, D, J, K, L, H, F. French. F64? No. It wouldn't be under... No, see, this is the directory. These are people. Duh. But what is at F64? That's the question. Is F64 a place I can go to? SE65? Yes. F64. And I think if... Let me check the... Whew! What the dip? That threw me for a loop. That was not the same. The encounter step. Note that the players... Tracking time. Encounter step. Continue. What if I say a place that doesn't exist? It's important that if players travel to a location without an encounter, they do not count that location for the final count of locations. When scoring penalties at the end of the investigation, this is important to remember. Okay, so F64? Yes, we'll try F64. I'm gonna write that down. If it doesn't count, then it doesn't count. F64. A, B, C, D, E. Oh, here we go. F64. Sweet. Come in quickly. Lemon implores you. Once you're inside, he closes the door and locks it. I'm glad you took my meaning. Miss is currently out of town and I needed a way to speak to you without being observed. Lemon takes a cautious glance out the curtained windows. Right now, every lodge member is under extreme scrutiny. Satisfied that you aren't being observed, he sits down. First of all, the Owen was in the only library this intruder tried to break into last night. Before going to Miskatonic, this would-be thief visited the lodge's private library and was similarly turned back by our protections. Only members of the Order know the location of this library. You have a traitor in your ranks, you ask? Lemon smiles grimly. Our oaths of loyalty are very, shall we say, compelling. I can't imagine any of our living members betraying the secret. Could someone who's supposedly dead betray you? Someone dead did betray us, he responds. He wasn't dead at the time, however. In 1793, Jedediah Cahill's... Cahill? C-A-H-I-L-L. Cahill's son snuck into that big empty house across from the old wooded graveyard. People call it the unnameable. U-N-N-N... Wait, shit. U-N-N-A-M-A-B-L-E. The Inamable? Inamable. At any rate, it left the boy catatonic. The father was desperate to save his son. He joined our order, hoping to find a way to undo the damage. He stole an ancient, very powerful book from our library, thinking he could use it to preserve his son's life. I suppose it didn't work. You recall Armitage's words about telling the Watchmen's parents about their son's death. Worse, says Lemon. When the abomination was discovered, Cahill was expelled from the order and the book was moved to a different city. In the wake of Jedediah's mistake, 8 people were found dead, flayed and bloodless. Blamed for these murders, it was burned at the stake. You can see Lemon getting nervous, but you have more questions before you leave. What was in this book that's so dangerous? Lemon puts his finger to his mouth, indicating it's a secret he can't tell. I can say it's an earlier version of a text Armitage has in his library. It makes sense that the thing would go to where our copy used to be first. It's a somewhat addictive text. Once a person of a particular obsessive temperament has been exposed to the book, he'll keep trying to regain it. Also, if he can't get the original, he'll make do with what he can. He may try to copy the text on the same medium as the original, human skin, but he'll never let it go. What happened to the son? Lemon shrugs. Noah? At the time, that wasn't the order's concern. Now? I'm hoping you can tell me. I need to leave now. I'll exit out the back door, wait 10 minutes, and then leave the way you came in. Take requirement cards 1 and 2. So, take these cards, and this might give me more information at different locations. Okay. So we found out about an earlier copy of the Necronomicon. Found out about this dude, Jedediah. And you know what? Death certificates. Birth certificates. Maybe? Historical Society? Maybe? Either of these might be a lead. One of the most public servants, keeper of certificates. So D21 might be a place to go to, or Dorothy Davis, L1. Knowledge of family history that Professor Robinson lacks. Who's Robinson? And extensive genealogical records that can reveal surprising family connections. Who's Robinson? Great source in matters historical. She's an expert on the oral history of Miskatonic Valley and also well versed in folklore. I mean, any one of those locations seem good to me. Although the death certificate may be of the character we found out about, probably not so important. But Dorothy Davis might be an interesting place to go to. Professor Leonore Robinson. All matters historical. Folklore, I mean, don't really care about that. Oral history of the Miskatonic Valley. I'll go check out Dorothy Davis at L1. She might have something to tell me. That's the cool thing about this game in particular, is that there's a bit of a replay value in it. Because you have a limited time constraint, you can't go everywhere. Oh look, L1, here we go. Right, that's Dorothy Davis, right? I didn't mess that up. Yes, okay. It is day 2, afternoon. You bump into Dorothy Davis and she's exiting the building and inadvertently knocks several files to the ground. That was my fault, she says, picking up the file items. I've got so much to do. I'm not even watching where I'm going. You help her pick up her things. What's the rush? I need to run by the First Baptist Church. Have you ever been? They have some amazing records, some of the oldest in the city. Then I'm off to see the new items on display at Pickering House. History is alive and well in Arkham. Perhaps we can talk another time. Her papers collected, she walks to the streets and hails a taxi. Fuck! That was a waste. Yeah, that was L1. Great. I take the time to come see you and you have nothing to give me. Maybe I should have gone to Leonore first. C17 or to the certificates. I don't think I need to go to the down hall. I'll go to C17. If that doesn't work, oh, I don't know. C17? Because I feel like I need to make a big breakthrough in this case. And I haven't hit that point yet, so I'm kind of concerned. C17, C17. Here we go. Clearly frustrated, Professor Robinson pounds her fist on one of the many file folders stacked on her desk. She grimaces when she sees you. I'm so sorry. Please tell Professor Armitage I am so sorry. Sorry about what? You shut her office door behind you. This whole thing with the... She shudders. The flesh and blood, it's happened before, but I can't recall when. There's over 200 years of recorded history on Arkham. He sullenly flips through some papers. I need something to jog my memory. Something that can narrow it down just a little bit. If you have requirement card 1, proceed to the supplement encounters on page 30 and read entry 1. See? If you had the card, you can check this out. If you didn't, then too bad for you, but at least you'd know to come back. So page 30, read entry 1. There we go. Supplemental encounters. You share what you've learned, and Professor Robinson shouts, Of course! 1793, the Cahills. She throws open a filing cabinet and flips through her immense collection of notes. According to legend, Jedediah Cahill's son saw strange faces in the upstairs windows of the large house across from the old wooded graveyard. You mean the Unnamable? You inquire? So called, because of a story written by Randolph Carter, she explains. It's owned by the city now. One day the son snuck in to investigate. Carter's story describes some sort of nonsense about incomprehensible horrors inside, if you like that sort of thing. However, it's a historical fact that Jedediah found his son screaming uncontrollably. Eventually, the poor boy lapsed into a catatonic state. The whole thing left Jedediah devastated. He was a very religious man. He found a member of the First Baptist Church, or a founding member of the First Baptist Church, but he abandoned his faith and began trying all kinds of screwball things to help his son recover. After the boy died, he buried him on the unvisited isle. Not only did Jedediah return to religion, he became a zealot, way off the deep end. It is written that Jedediah was reproducing sacred texts onto human skin. Wait. She runs her fingers across the notes and reads a particular passage aloud. The elder Cahill was accused of murdering 8 people. He took both the skin and the blood of his victims. Just before they burned him at the stake, Jedediah was recorded saying, My soul is at peace. I have atoned, and I know that God will understand what I have done. My flesh, my blood. This thing now lies where it cannot return. The professor hands you her notes. If you haven't been already, you may want to check with Dorothy Davis over at the Historical Society, she says. Jedediah's wife was pregnant when her husband was burned for his crimes. Didn't I actually already go check out Dorothy Davis? I'd be so mad. Yeah, I already did that. You failed me. But that is a lot of information. So you know what? I want to check out... Let's find it here. Actually, no, it should be on the map. The Unvisited Isle, M9. That's where the son is buried, so we might have more information. Because the son died. Maybe we can discover something about the body. M9? Yes, M9. Let me write that in my note here. Actually, that's the next day. It's day 3. So there's 2 places of note that I want to go to. The Unvisited Isle and the Unnamable. Let's go to the Unnamable. That sounds actually more interesting. I'm trying to remember what was at the Unnamable. 2 people have mentioned it. Where is the directory? Here it is. The Unnamable. You. No. Churches. Brayfair's Church, the West Church. Churches and funeral homes. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like a graveyard, yeah? No. Am I? Unnamable house. No, that's the unnamable house. That's a private residence. Is that the right place? M3? M3, M9, I don't know. See, here it says unnamable, but everywhere else it doesn't have the E. It says unnamable, which isn't a thing. So, uh-oh, typo. Oh well, everything's not perfect. Let's check that out. M3. And then we'll go to the Unvisited Isle. If M3 is in a place, then I don't have to worry about it. M3. Yeah, see, it says unnamable here, not unnameable. Ugh, whatever. The large house. Let me write that down. M3. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, that's day 3, morning. So we have day 3, 4, and 5 before the investigation comes to an abrupt close. But we can end the investigation if we think we have enough information to work with. And just like in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, at the back of the investigation there are like a couple questions to answer that not only talks about the main point of the investigation, but even side things that happen. Like, oh, if you went across this line of investigation, what did this person say? And if you didn't go down that way, then you wouldn't know. So not only do you want to solve the main mystery at hand, you might want to pick up a few extra information tidbits just to get bonus points. Because Armitage, of course, is a bastard and he fucking goes through everything perfectly. Whatever. The large house, known as the Unnamable, has always been filled... Wait, what? The large house, known as the Unnamable, has always filled those who see it with a sense of seething dread. The window panes have all been shattered and never replaced. Uninhabited for more than 200 years. The property officially belongs to the city of Arkham, but there is little done in the way of caretaking. The front door is locked, and you know that Armitage would not want you to get caught trespassing. If you arrive at the Unnamable during the morning or afternoon and have requirement card 3, proceed to supplemental encounters on page 30 and read entry 4. I have not. I don't have 3. I only have 1 and 2. If you arrive at the Unnamable during the evening, proceed to supplemental encounters on page 30 and read entry 5. I'm going to come back here at night. Okay, but the Unvisited Isle, it was M9. So let's go over there for the afternoon, day 3. The Unvisited Isle is a fetid blight on the Miskatonic River. A mass of rotted muck interrupted by cold, weathered stones. The rumor that this might be a romantic destination for Miskatonic students seems highly dubious. You thoroughly search the area around the island's standing stones, monuments raised by long-forgotten native engineers for some unknowable purpose. Disturbances in the mud provide ample evidence that people were here. In fact, it appears that... Disturbances in the mud provide ample evidence that people were here. In fact, it appears as if something quite large was pulled out of the ground. However, there is no sign of a struggle or blood loss. You spot a carved piece of wood poking out of the disturbed mud. A closer look reveals that it's a rotting stake that could have been carved a century or more ago. Your inspection is interrupted by the approach of a ragged-looking figure, an older man dressed humbly. Sorry to startle you, stranger, he says. I'm just out here looking for treasures like you. Sometimes you come across odds and ends worth a little cash. Found a coin from 1793 one time. Have you seen anything strange out here recently, you ask? One night a week ago, I bumped into a drifter. His clothes were soaked through with this muck, and he looked sick. I reckon he must have been in trouble with the law or some such. He asked me for a ride to shore in my boat, and I said yes. As soon as we're in the water, he began having fits and howling. I thought he was going to die right there. We get to shore, and I ran to find someone to help. By the time I got back, he was gone. That seemed pretty strange to my way of thinking. You thank the man and leave. I'm trying to think. What eldritch monsters? And why? Let's go talk to Pascal. Shit. Dropping papers. Maybe he can tell me what eldritch monsters might exhibit this kind of behavior. L4. For as many times as you've seen the interior of Pascal Fenton's home, it never fails to disturb and surprise you. Each cabinet and shelf overflows with curios from long-forgotten civilizations. Most of these trinkets are obviously counterfeit, but a few seem unnervingly genuine. Pascal points you to an old soft chair and exhales dust as you sit. Did Armitage send you? As he finally admitted that old Fenton might just know a thing or two. Behold! All things are possible. Pascal laughs sarcastically. I have forgotten more about the unseen world than that little mouse will ever know. I've forgotten more about the unseen world than that little mouse will ever know. Okay. I'm surprised you have so long avoided becoming my student. Now tell me, how may I help you? Given Pascal's fascination with the grotesque, you don't spare any of the details of the Watchman's death. After you finish the story, the old occultist thinks silently. Tricky. He eventually concludes. There is a cult in the Orient that ritually skins their victims. If they are making an incursion into the Western world, well, I dread to consider what that could mean. Some Turkish immigrants get together for chess at the Desolate Highway Cafe. It might be worth asking them about the Brothers of the Skin. I don't think so. You finish taking notes and are about to leave when Pascal stops you. However, that doesn't take into account the loss of blood, nor the susceptibility to Armitage's primitive magical warding. Those elements suggest a vampire. Really? You stare at Pascal, wondering if he's using you to tease Armitage. A vampire. Like in the movie. Exactly. It drinks blood and fears religious symbols, as well as basic protections like garlic and silver. By the way, did you see that vampire film at the telenews? The projectionist there is probably well informed on the subject. Pascal strokes his chin. I can't imagine why a vampire would remove a victim's skin. I suppose that's all I can tell you. Good luck. Okay, so with that information, yeah, I guess we can say it's a vampire. Because, lives forever, the rotted steak at the Unvisited Isles, the the resistance to crossing water, although I always thought that was a stupid thing that vampires did. Being unable to cross water. Okay. And I guess, yeah, that accounts for the loss of blood. But yeah, the loss of skin, I guess that would be to make the Necronomicon out of human skin or to make another copy. So that probably makes the most sense. See, now I could end the investigation here. I feel like I've done it. I know what the investigation is, and that's the end of day 3. And you know what? He's probably at the unnameable house. If I went there at night, would I encounter him? He sounds like a dude, like just a normal dude. Not a normal dude, but like if he was lucid enough to talk to that, that old man, maybe I could get something out of it. I went to go talk. No, that's a bad idea. That's you don't talk to vampires. That's a terrible idea. If only I could like just stack myself up with garlic and then kind of go visit him then. Maybe that would be a cool idea. Local criminologist. I already talked to him, right? Yeah, D45. Cab company. I was worthless. Dorothy Davis. Sebastian Lemon. Arkham advertiser. Don't think so. Civil servants. Yeah, and I don't need to talk to civil servant to know that he's been dead for 200 years. What I do want to know is the father's story. Why did he think that he repented, right? Because he killed 8 people. How is that a good thing? Before he was burned at the stake. And why'd they burn him? Or couldn't they just hang him or anything like that? If he was a criminal, which he was at that point, even by the order standards, why didn't they kill him a different way? Fleetwood Diner, Teaching Hospital, Robinson, Librarian. She can assist you with any research. She also has access to research section of the library. Let's go to C23, the Orne Library. Talk to the assistant. If she has anything new to give me, any new leads, we'll follow up on those. Otherwise, we'll talk to her and we'll call it. C23. Before you even ask a question, Amelia Sargent whispers, Professor Armitage told me to keep track of anyone who wanted to get into the restricted collection today. One student came in, Patty McCulloch. McCulloch? I know. That's the same Patty McCulloch who just got pulled out of her dormitory and dropped off at the sanatorium. Do you think she's the one? She's just a kid. How could she do something so horrible? And I think for free, you can go to 23A, which is Armitage's office, and usually he's never there. So Armitage's door is locked as usual with a note stating he is not in his office, but he is at home. On the floor sits a small vase with a single violet and attaches another note. But this one is by Pascal Fenton. There may come a time, old friend, where you cease judging me and instead call out for my help. Judge not, lest you be judged. Pascal. I could go to the sanatorium. Let's actually check that out. Maybe she has something interesting to say. And if she doesn't, then we're calling it. Because it is day 4 afternoon. And we have day 5 evening before the case is officially over. Downtown district. An orderly accompanies you to the room where Patty McCulloch is sleeping. You note the heavy straps around the frail figure's wrists and ankles that keep her immobile. The orderly explains, It took 4 of us to secure her. She bit and scratched the whole way, kicked like a mule. I'd keep your distance. She's a student from the university, you ask. I guess there was a side to her no one knew about. Folks were saying she left in the morning to go meet her grandfather for breakfast. He's got a place over at the Nathaniel Peasley Apartments, but he says she never showed up. Next thing anyone knows, she wants access to the restricted section of the library. When she gets turned down, she goes back to her room in the western dormitory and starts biting and clawing. Bit a hole through a man's cheek. Did she say anything when you brought her in? Before the orderly can respond to your question, Patty's eyes open. She speaks in a raspy, staccato whisper. He sees you. Through me. The orderly moves forward to intervene, but you motion him to wait. You step cautiously forward. Who sees me? Curse you! Patty lunges upward, but her restraints keep her secured to the bed. Her voice is not that of a young woman. A curse on you and your Professor Armitage and this entire town. Tell him to release the book. Tell him that the deaths will weigh on his soul. Gasp and collapse to the bed. Her voice changes to that of a terrified young woman. Help me. He's in my head. Ooh. You reach out to take Patty's hand. Shivering and struggling for breath, Patty says, Cahill. His name is Cahill. 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 Cahill, whatever. A sudden seizure contorts her muscles. The orderly races for a doctor while Patty's grip on your hand brushes your fingers. Patty, breathe. Patty, tell me where Cahill is. He's gonna tell me the one point saying it. Patty tries to speak through clenched teeth. Book. He wants a book. He wants the book. You see the life slowly fading from her eyes. He went home. She coughs. By the time the orderly returns with the doctor, it's too late. Take requirement card 1, which I already have. So yeah, that tells me Cahill. So we've got, dang, I don't even remember their names. That's probably not good. All right, so we'll call it there, and we'll go to the back of the book, or the back of the investigation, and there are 11 questions here. We answer them. Can't even see that. We answer them, and then we score, and then we see how well we did. So, question 1. What kind of creature killed the night watchman? I'm going to write down my notes. You keep it in your head, and then we'll compare, and then see how well we did against Armitage. What kind of creature killed the night watchman? What was this creature's name? Who is Jedediah Cahill's living descendant currently in Arkham? Whoa! Living descendant, that was 200 years ago. Four. Where can the creature be found during the day? Five. Why is the creature there? There. Jesus Christ. Why is the creature there? That's not how you spell. Or not. Better answer. 6. Where did the creature take the skin of its victims? Wait, what? Seven. What is the creature doing with the skin? 8. Whose blood revived the creature? 9. Where did Jedediah Cahill bury his son? 10. Why did he bury him there? 11. What caused Jedediah's son to fall into a catatonic state? I put question marks next to some of my answers because I'm not sure. I'm sure some of them are wrong. So, the answers. What kind of creature killed the night watchman? Vampire. 2 points. Bing! What was the creature's name? Noah Cahill. I only put Cahill, so that's wrong for me. If you got Noah, then congrats for you. I only put Cahill. Yeah. Who is Jedediah Cahill's living descendant currently in Arkham? Rachel Cawthorne. We would have not found that out. I should have gone to the birth certificate dude. Maybe would have found that out. Oh well. 3 points, but didn't get it. Where can the creature be found during the day? In the basement of the Nathaniel Wingate Peasley apartments. Whoa, really? Yeah, because we'll get there. 2 points. I didn't think that he would be there. That's so weird. Why is the creature there? They were built on the site where its home used to be. Huh. Okay. That's 2 points. 6. Oh, I put, okay, so for 5 here. See? For 5, why is the creature there? It says they were built on the site where its home used to be. For number 5, I was gonna put it went to wherever it went to rebuild the Necronomicon, but I took that out and I said I put it there because that's where its home is. It's its home. I think that counts. So that's 2 points. Yay! Yeah, because when the woman said he's home now or whatever, like that's why he went to where he went to. So 6. Where did the creature take the skin of its victims? To the basement of the Unnameable. And here it says unnameable instead of unnameable. Whatever. 3 points. What is the creature doing with the skin? Using it for pages in a book. I put Necronomicon. You know, it's remaking the Necronomicon. Or, you know, it's remaking the pages so that it can copy onto them. That counts. I know what I'm talking about. That's 5 points. Wow. So, basement, 3 points. Or the Unnameable, 3 points. Using the pages for a book, 5 points. Build it on where its home used to be, 2 points. Let me actually put my points together. That's 2, 2, 3, 5. All right. Whose blood revived the creature? Elliot Cousin. I don't know who that is. Where did Jedediah Cahill bury his son? On the unvisited isle. Got that? 3 points. Why did he bury them there? Vampires can't cross running water. I put water. Because island. 2 points. What caused Jedediah's son to fall into a catatonic state? The unnameable. 3 points. I put horrors of unnameable house. So 3 points for me. I count that. So altogether, that is for. We still have to finish scoring. There's some possible things that could change the scoring. But for me, I got 2, 4, 7, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 points so far, right? 2, 2, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3. 2, 4, 7, 12, 15, 16, 17, 20. Yep, 20. Sanity penalties. If you traveled to Western Dorm C18 or Hangman's Mill M2 or Nathaniel Wingate Peasley Apartments M67 at night, take 1 point penalty for each location you visited at night, thus encountering a vampire. Holy shit, really? C18, I didn't get any of those. M2, M67. Interesting. Alright. Locations visited. Count the number of locations you visited, even if they do not contain an actual written encounter. Deduct 1 point for every location you visited beyond 10 locations. Armitage was able to answer all the questions by visiting 10 locations. I got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So 19 points now. Final score, 13 plus points. You win! On the following pages, you may view the locations Armitage visited. Fewer than 13 points. Your score is fewer than 13, Armitage gives you a head start in your next case, blah, blah. If you scored 19 plus points, you are indeed a master detective. Armitage has great faith in you, but more difficult challenges lie ahead. Armitage solved the case by visiting 10 locations. His path is revealed on the following page. Only read the solution when you are ready for it all to be revealed. So, if you don't want to hear how Armitage did it, I bid you adieu. But, if you want to figure this out, here's what happened. He was able to answer all the questions? That's bull. Alright. Solution. In Armitage's study, a fire crackle invitingly. In Armitage's study, a fire crackles invitingly in the fireplace, and you allow yourself to enjoy this simple pleasure, despite the object sitting on a stand between you and your mentor, the Necronomicon, the strange book that was so central to this case. You can feel its power, its hunger for blood and destruction. Flesh and blood, your mentor says, into the quiet. I thought I said into the quilt. Back in 1793, there was nothing Jedediah Cahill wouldn't do to try to save his son. How noble. How ruinous. It is fortunate that Mr. Lemon was willing to share what the Order knew about the Cahills and their history. The knight lives in the square between the tower and the church, or rather, the rook and the bishop. Okay? After Noah Cahill's encounter with the unnameable left the child unresponsive, Jedediah joined the Order and stole their copy of the Necronomicon. It is said that the text must be written on human flesh. Using this book, Jedediah marshaled dark forces to restore the boy. The results were monstrous. The boy rose again as a vampire, hungry for blood as well as an overwhelming compulsion to possess the book that had birthed them. However, the Order had reclaimed their property and moved it, so the creature began to make his own book, using the skin of his victims for the pages. Mob justice blamed Jedediah and burned him at the stake, but not before the elder Cahill had managed to put an end to his son's reign of terror. But Noah's sleep was not eternal. The monster returned after 150 years to resume its terrible work. By day, it slept in the basement of Nathaniel Peasley of the Nathaniel Peaslee apartments where its home had once been. By night, it took its victims' skins to the unnameable and tried to fashion them into the pages of its own book. The sun has risen, you interject. So it has. Armitage stands and collects the crowbar and axe that are leaning against his chair. Decapitating this beast will be a grim bit of business, but it is pleasant to think about Rachel Cawthorne, a descendant of the Cahills. I'm given to understand she has 7 grandchildren in Boston. The two of you stand in silence for a moment. Family can be good, you say. Indeed. Armitage points to the Necronomicon. Let's return this to its proper home and get on with our task. Armitage solved this investigation by traveling to 10 locations. First, he went to Professor Leonore Robinson, C-17. I feel like he couldn't do that. Supplemental 1. See, he couldn't have done that. He didn't have the one supplement. Excuse me, hold on, you can't do that. And then he went to Pascal Fenton at L4. Then he went to Herbert Corbett at D45, which is the first place he went to. And then he went to Arlor Hoppin, which we went to as well. And then he went to Sebastian Lemon, which is where we went to. And then he went to Geraldine McKnight, F64, which is where we went to. But yeah, that's how you keep on talking with Sebastian. And then from there, yeah. Then you go to C17, Supplement 1. Then we went to L1 before that, which was a waste of time. Then he went to the First Baptist Church. I kind of wanted to go there because it talked about the Cahill dude being one of the founding members, but I didn't actually go there. F15 Supplemental 2, interesting. Then he went to Nicholas Stahlenstall at D21. I guess he found out something that I didn't know. Then he went to the Unnameable M3 Supplemental 4, and then the Pickering House at E1. So yeah, those last 4 places I didn't even go to. Well, I went to the Unnameable, but I didn't do the crazy stuff. Cool though. Even though, we went on different paths and he probably learned a lot more than I did, I still got 19 points. That's a job well done in my book. Mythos Tales. This is an awesome game. It's a choose your own adventure that really tests your wits of not only the game itself, but the greater Lovecraft mythos. If you think this game it's good for, by yourself or with a group of friends who love Lovecraftian mythos stuff, check it out. It is well designed, well written, although I can't read so well. Although it's not perfectly written. There are some issues where like something will get cut off and it says Sudge, and then on the next page, jesting, and it's like, come on. Proofread that, please. And there are little pictures here and there. Things. That's the woman, the sanatorium dying. Grim. It's a neat game. I like it. I like it a lot. It's cool. If you would like to see more of this, let me know. The next investigation is The King Cometh. I guess that's like the King in Yellow? Book of Yellow? King in Yellow? Haster, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I think it's the King in Yellow, right? That's cool. But let me check something. So there's this page here, right? Thank you for purchase of Mythos Tales. Nice. Last night you awoke from a stirring nightmare. On a nightstand. You discover a note in your handwriting that only you could have written. A series of bizarre questions communicated. Siri, what are you doing? A series of bizarre. Oh, I said series, and then Siri picked up. Bizarre questions communicated to you from Dream Arkham. You have no idea of their meaning, nor do you remember writing anything during the night. Do not lose these questions. Anytime during your journey, if you think that you know their meaning, Immediately write down your answers for safekeeping, lest you forget, at your peril. You have the feeling that the answers will be of significance at some point. Where's the witch? Orlaith Andrews. What are the names of the 3 architects of Dream Arkham other than these people? Where in Waking Arkham is the last dreamer sleeping? Who is he? What is the significance of the music box? What is the name of the shepherd on the unvisited isle in Dream Arkham? How did Annie Hogue escape the witch? What is stored at the witch's house in Dream Arkham? What color is the clock in the forum? What is the name of the mysterious new drug reportedly used by teenagers, but for which there is no direct evidence it even exists? So these questions are here. And as far as their meaning goes, this plays into a larger tale, or the larger story of what's in this book. And let's see, how many investigations are there? I actually don't know. Table of contents. Introduction. Reign of Evil is the first one. Flesh and Blood is the second one. The King Cometh. The Slumbering Solace. The Serpent's Vengeance. The Star of Tokelau. The Vanished Girl. Pascal's Wager. And that's it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 investigations in this large, how many pages? 176 page book. So there's a lot of game here. And even for replay, I'm kind of curious to see where those locations Armitage went and what kind of information he found out. Or you can play it once, forget about it, play it again a year later, and keep playing it. It's a cheap game. It's a lot of fun. But that's Mythos Tales.